Anode material. Why did the oxygen come in? You said earlier that the anode contains 30% oxygen. Why is oxygen in? Why is there oxygen in the cathode? It feels like lithium. Does our team exist alone? Hey! What are the potential outcomes?
Exploding.
Why the moment writing is put in the water? Try to absorb oxygen on the H2. So it's lithium, right? When it becomes lithium, hydrogen is separated and hydrogen comes out. Li. How many original numbers? Lithium. Yes, 3 times. The primary orbital position. There's a second orbital, right? So the electron is like this, it's like this, it's like this, and there's this one out there anyway, right? Like this, right? Well, our team. Hanwha majored in physical education. And then oxygen. What about oxygen? Firstly, send it several times. Oxygen sends 8 times, which is 1 or 2, and then there are some outside. 8 times 6, correct? Then sequence 123. There are 4 and 56, and there are 2 missing here. You're lost, huh? Isn't little like that going to be buried like this when we get a router? We're not going to do another rhythm here like this. That's why it becomes Lyoto to lithium. And that's our reaction. Everything is always a shared combination. Is lithium always safe in the presence of oxygen? You've heard about the channel. So how can lithium be stably stored as a cathode material for effective usage? Anode material. I'm bringing the car, right? If there is just enough oxygen in the anode, it will stick together, won't it? The cathode material is about storing lithium, storing it, separating it, putting it on the cathode material, moving it back and forth like this. So the cathode material is practically... We caught your needle from the anode and the oxygen is letting go. Yes, what is this? This is oxygen. Rhythm came in. This is lithium. It's all lithium. It's all attached to lithium. It's attached like this. It's gone like this. Poetically. The cathode material is not cobalt nickel, but the cathode material is oxygen. Why would you need anode material? To hold the lithium, I put a little bit of lithium on it, then took it off again, then went back and forth, but there was oxygen. Then my oxygen goes to the anode material. You have to tie him up. Then what should I have? We have to catch this guy. Oxygen. Just leave this guy alone. Oh, you've caught it. And now perhaps someone else needs to capture one more. Here, in this place, there must be a scientist who stands out as a favorite among many. Wouldn't each individual have their own preferred scientist to admire and support? When you look at cobalt, nickel, and manganese, you might find that these are among the elements considered least favorable. To get approval. So, do you understand what I'm saying? He remains seated, burdened with worry, clinging to oxygen, never releasing his grip. This implies a persistent attachment to him, and here we find an endless cycle of connection and reliance between them. Indeed, we've reached our dwelling place. Yes, active materials, positive electrode reactive materials. These components are crucial for storing oxygen, correct? As observed, what characteristics does cobalt exhibit? This is cobalt. The presence of cobalt here serves to retain oxygen, providing support. It constructs a structure for you, isn't that right? Cobalt. Nickel. Look at that manganese. Maybe that way there will be 1 or 2 Choi Wook electrons in the metal material, getting distracted to catch it to the mountains like this. It's like this. But they are layered like this, right? Like this. So basically they have this layered structure. It's a layered structure. So poetically, in the case of NCN, lithium ions come in and out like this. But as we talked about earlier, hello. What is this itself? This guy is iron. FF will also have about 1 or 2 first quark do, and at least 1 or 2 first quark do. Yes, it will, probably because this guy is like this and that. They are catching this guy, yeah, and then they put phosphoric acid in here and stuff like this. Put it in, but their structure is an olivine structure. Is this performance wise? There is a grid like this, so it only goes out through one aisle like this. Instead, it's fixed. So because it goes in one direction, its performance is a little lower. But safe? But NCM together earlier is just Qingshangu. Just float. Look at that LM. It only goes on both sides. Then someone will have to catch you from behind. Well, don't you have to catch something like this? You have to catch him from behind like this, right? So in the case of cobalt, lithium Li, 100. For instance, do we need to catch exactly 50? Is it possible to get only 50 cobalt? But nickel. Can you get him out until he washes? Does this mean that the performance is good? Do you see this? Alright, so when we observe this image, we're heading to Anikela. The higher we move towards nickel, the better our performance. And can we eliminate a considerable amount of nickel? Since the structure is yen, we maintain the same quantity of nickel. Yes? Meat oil that can't be completely removed, so we put in something like cobalt rather than NCM. But if we put in nickel, we have that much here. Well, this pertains to roughly half of the retriever's utilization, around 50%. I'm maintaining a 50% usage. To catch the framework, yet we possess that. Cobalt is the factor, but nickel can be reduced by up to 75%. So if we fluctuate up to 75%, isn't the performance enhanced? This is the individual. Then, I've retained 50% of my identification. It makes sense to subtract 70%. First of all, the fact that I am missing means that there is a lot of oxygen. If this guy gets hot, he won't get out soon. That's already the case. It burns as oxygen is assumed. Then the higher the nickel content, the higher the performance is quite impressive. But unfortunately, the name is empty. We were together earlier, and now we're exposed to oxygen. So what? If all's well, regarding Na Kyung-won, the performance is good, but yes, it's like this. So we usually, in this manner, that. If the nickel work content is high, there are several different capsules available. Good performance. Why? Because you can take out a lot of rituals instead. Together just now. Why is that? Because oxygen is easily lost at the temperature. Vulnerable? Instead, in order to do that, many things are still solved by adding titanium or genes, but the basic characteristics are like that. Well, now I have such this characteristic. This way, then we usually use manganese. Yes, what is using manganese? If we talk about something, if we talk about it, is it broken? Manganese. There is a saying that manganese is safe. Safety is complete. And this is now. So in terms of performance, we have manganese. We have what? Skinel structure. Our Skinel structure. That's why it's layered, so it's different. If you hold it tightly, the oxygen won't go out, so the performance will go down instead. Since it comes out, it's hard. there's something like that. So if we look at it big, now in the case of cobalt, it's falling out, 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 it's falling out. It's going to increase that. So when you definitely subtract things like power, when you subtract it, we use rate cobalt and then we use nickel. Are you saying you can take out a lot of lithium ions in there? This means that you can increase the performance. You can increase the kVs like this, but instead, as you increase it, oxygen is lost more easily, but it is vulnerable to fire, so it is not dispersed. So you use licensed additives. And then in the case of manganese, if we're like manganese, it's harder because of this structure. Okay? Nail. Where do you go for an interview and what do you do? This is enough. This is enough. No one talks like this. First, why is LFU such an important topic? If you ask, are you interviewer in the interview? The key points of that battery fire? Oh, the flammability problem is obvious. Chin and then anode material. Anode material. There is oxygen in the anode. Yeah, but that too. Oxygen extraction temperature. It needs to withstand as much oxygen as possible, but LFT is usually safe. So what is that? Because LFB has an olive structure, oxygen and extraction are a bit late. Hold on tight. A little less. That's why. That fire, it's safe compared to this, but if we go to nickel, if we just go to nickel, we can basically improve the performance that we subtracted lithium ions together earlier. We can subtract up to 75%. Instead, as much as he didn't miss it much. Because of the symptom structure and high exposure to oxygen, they are vulnerable to fever. The difference between this guy is that in the summer, if only this guy falls, he can fall all the way to this point. For example, there is such a difference. Manganese is Spanish. This is the end. What else are you going to do? Material finish. As you can clearly see, there's oxygen in here. Oxygen is still oxygen, isn't it? To hold the anode material, cobalt has a rocket, right? Well, then lithium comes in and after a while it goes out and it's like this. Then, like this is NCM arm round, nickel 80 Pro, cobalt E Pro, 80%, and 20% E Pro. Like when it got like this, there's nickel and there's cobalt in the middle and there's nickel and what's this? In the end, this red one is to hold oxygen in the oxygen reservoir, right? Then like this. Lithium ions go in and out and become channel lithium and then go in and so on. Well, it's like that. The structure itself then, fire ignition. The temperature at which a fire breaks out signifies that oxygen is extracted and ignited. Yes. Then each of us, by anode material, take action. Well, this is something I undertook separately, huh? What is the temperature of the landfill emission limit? Upon conducting thorough research, this is what I discovered. High nickel. In the case of 8 days, oxygen is extracted at about 180 degrees like this. But in the case of mid-nickel like this, it can last up to almost 200 degrees. Yeah, and in the case of iron phosphate, up to about 300 degrees. It's getting rough. In this way, in fact, at what temperature is oxygen extracted from the anode material like this? And we can now see our vulnerability to some kind of fire according to this. Well,